Brother lads, welcome back to Cossy Podcast. My name is Cossy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a brand new video. Manchester United 2, Arsenal 0 in the USA tour. It was a very, very difficult game for Arsenal fans to watch. It's one of the games where I've watched Arsenal really struggle in midfield. We really struggled in midfield. Rice, Odegaard, Kai Havertz, Julian Timber. We really struggled. I think Kobe Mainoo was very good for Manchester United, and even when Casemiro came on in the second half, he was still very good for Manchester United. But there's so many positives to take away from that game. However, I'm going to start up by talking about two huge things we saw last season, and we have not yet addressed them even in preseason. Hit the like button, subscribe to the podcast as well. Let me know what were the mistakes you saw in the game. Which players do you think Arsenal need to upgrade on based on that performance, and what things do we need to change? I don't want us to melt down because there are a few things that we have to put into consideration. New players in midfield. That's a new midfield. Like Rice, Havertz, that's a new midfield. Xhaka and Partey played there last season. So if you see a totally new setup, a totally new team, it's going to take some time for them to adapt. But there are two things that I thought stood out in that performance, and they stood out in our season, and they were very key to us losing the title. Number one is Aaron Ramsdale's mistimed mistakes. Now, that is something I talked about in the previous season a lot in match reactions. I talked about it in the Brentford game that we drew 1-1, where he was going for the ball and he misjudged it, and then it was played over his head. I talked about it in the West Ham game 2-2, where Jared Bowen, actually that goal, I think Ramsdale has a lot of chances to save that ball if he concentrates and he remains on his line. No question he's a good goalkeeper. No question he's one of the best young goalkeepers in the world. But he's got to work on those mistakes. He's going to work. He's got to work on those bad errors and bad days in office. Right. The Southampton game, he gives the ball straight to a Southampton player. They get the lead. They build confidence, and 3-3. We are very lucky to get a result. Now, yesterday, I won't blame Ramsdale too much, but I'm really going to point it out. Every day, every single day, 9 out of 10, if a goalkeeper faces a shot, the nature of Bruno Fernandes against Ramsdale, he will save that. 9 out of 10. I think as Aaron Ramsdale, a goalkeeper who's been at Arsenal for 2-3 years, this is your third year, we expect you to have the confidence, we expect you to have the experience. Their goals, I don't expect Aaron Ramsdale to be conceding at this point in time. Their goals, I don't expect him to be conceding 2 years into his Arsenal career. That goal, that was absolutely horrendous. That is Hugo Lloris goalkeeping. That is David De Gea mistake goalkeeping. I don't expect Ramsdale to be that bad, and to be honest, he is not that bad. But there are times when a goalkeeper, there are times when a player will bring in cause a mistake, and that mistake will cost the team. I think the moment Manchester United go a goal 1-0 up, the game changes. They become stronger. They become a little bit organized. They calm down, and hence Arsenal really struggled. Right. So that is number one. Mistakes. The second mistake is from Gabriel Magalhaes, and we know Gabriel Magalhaes has got a mistake in him. At times, you've seen him, probably raise his hands in the penalty area to give away penalty. At times, you've seen him pull a player back. He did bring that penalty against West Ham in the 2-2 draw. He's got a mistake in him, and in my question, and this is going to be very clear. Do we get enough from Gabriel Magalhaes for us to go, whether he commits a mistake or not, he's one of the best centre-backs in the Premier League? In my opinion, probably not. So, however much we've spent 250 million euros, a budget that has gone, that has been spread out between defense and midfield, Arsenal might need to get a good, better centre back. Or William Saliba should replace Gabriel Magalhaes in the team, and Julian Timber should join him at centre back, or Ben White should join him at centre back. Those mistakes, if you're gonna fight for the title, you can't afford such mistakes. I'm not saying these two were absolutely horrendous. I'm not saying that the two players that played very poorly. All I'm saying is that the 2 goals we conceded were courtesy of mistakes, and those mistakes cost us a title. Those mistakes are the same that cost us a Premier League title. Gabriel Magalhaes still against West Ham, he causes the penalty. That's a mistake. He causes the penalty, and West Ham come back in the game. We don't win that one. Aaron Ramsdale still in the same game. A shot that he should have saved against Jared Bowen, because Bowen was a little bit far away, and he was hitting that ball on the volley, on the goal. I think the goalkeeper was in a much better position to save it. He does not. So those 2 mistakes are something that we need to cover up. We need to think about, right? Is Aaron Ramsdale a bad goalkeeper? No. Is Gabriel Magalhaes a bad centre back? No. But the mistakes will always cost you. Now let's talk about Eddie Nketiah and the striking problem, because I said there are 2 problems I want us to talk about before we get into the general positives of this game. Mikel insists to play Eddie Nketiah every single day, every single time. And I don't have a problem with Eddie, because Eddie is one of the few strikers in the world that will be very patient enough to only sit on the bench, wait for Gabriel Jesus to probably get substituted or to pick up an injury or to be rotated. So he's going to be happy with 500, 600 minutes a game. So that is the reason he stays at Arsenal. He doesn't stay at Arsenal because he's good enough. He doesn't stay at Arsenal because he's massively better than Florian Balogun, but he's okay with the 600, 500 minutes per campaign. But the truth is, if Mikel Arteta really wanted to see the best of his squad, why has Balogun not played in that game? Why have we not gone in the second half? Gabriel Jesus comes onto the pitch for Gabriel Martinelli, who was very quiet. And then Florian Balogun comes onto Eddie Nketiah, who was absolutely catastrophic yesterday. My point with Eddie is that he's not good enough for the level where we are going. If we are signing Rice, we are signing Timber. If we are adding huge qualities to the side, that shows you and that communicates that Arsenal have gone a level up. It means Eddie is out. Actually, I don't think if we were playing with Arsene Wenger, Eddie would be leading our line. I don't think, right? Yes, we've had catastrophic strikers under Arsene Wenger, like we've had a few of them that were not actually very, very good, but I don't think Eddie is at the standard Arsenal need. There must be a question, right? If Florian Balogun is leaving, who is for me as a striker much better in terms of finishing than Eddie Nketiah, you've got to ask the question, are we going to sign a striker? Are we going to spend some money on the striking position? If not, Eddie Nketiah is not better than Florian Balogun. So Eddie leaves as well as Balogun, and we find a much better striker. So again, Eddie, there are question marks. This is going to be a season where Arsenal are expected to provide maximum levels. We are going to be, playing under maximum pressure. We're going to be playing against sides that look at us as the team to beat in the Premier League. You have Rice, you have Timber, you have Kai Havertz, you have Odegaard, you have Saka, you have Martinelli, you have Ramsdale, you have some of the best young talents in Europe. Your squad is worth 1.21 billion. So you're the team to beat. I don't think we played like a team to beat. I don't think we played like a team that wants to challenge Manchester City for the title. But overall, let's get into the overall performance of this game and of that team. First and foremost, poor. Absolutely poor. Very, very poor. Drastically poor. I cannot express my disappointment in the way we handled that game. I cannot express my disappointment with the fact that Arsenal played Manchester United with Kobbie Mainoo in midfield, and Kobbie Mainoo dominated our midfield. This was how they set up, right? They played with Kobbie Mainoo and Mason Mount in midfield. This is how we initially set up, with Declan Rice, Havertz, and Odegaard in midfield. I tell you what, Kobbie Mainoo is not going to be a Manchester United starter every single day. He's not going to be. But the moment he dominates your midfield, the moment Kobbie Mainoo dominates your midfield, you have nothing to say in support, because that is our best 11. That is our best midfield. That is our best midfield combination. Okay, and of course we're going to talk about Thomas Partey and why he needs to stay at Arsenal. Like, it is not now an either or. Partey has to stay at Arsenal, at least for the next 2 years. Why? I think Rice playing as a single pivot is something that he will take time to adjust to. And I've seen people on AFTV saying that Rice playing as a single pivot, he was always gonna be overwhelmed by Kobbie Mainoo. You cannot tell me that he was always gonna be overwhelmed by Kobbie Mainoo. No. So. And the other thing is that Thomas Partey has played as a single midfield pivot for quite some time. So we've seen how effective he is. We've seen how good he can be playing in that single midfield pivot. So in my opinion, Partey has got to stay. But the midfield was purely horrendous. Very, very bad. Very bad. The way we were picking up the ball from deeper areas and trying to progress it, we failed. We failed to take control of the game. Like, just find a few passes. I think Manchester United are very, very, clever. They make the game very physical, and that is what you do with a good, classy team like Arsenal. You make the game. You make the game physical. Kobbie Mainoo was literally pushing each and every other player in that midfield. Lisandro Martinez was also playing with a lot of intensity. Of course, there will be questions whether it should have been booked twice, but there is a question there, right? There is a question there. It was a friendly, but Man United took it as a serious game, and hence they have won 3 out of their 3 preseason games, and they have not conceded a goal. Can you believe that out of our 4 preseason games, we've won 1, where we obliterated the Major League Soccer disorganized team? And all the other teams that have actually brought in a shift, we've not beaten them. So for me, there's so many huge lessons to draw from that game. But let's start off with the positives, all right? Let's start off with the positives. I don't want to be absolutely negative because the game had its own positives. One is, and I think many people have actually seen this, we can't live without Thomas Partey. I don't know how we are going to do it. It's a good thing, right? I've brought it as a positive. We can't live without Thomas Partey. And why it is a positive is that he has not left yet. That is a positive. He's not left yet. So whether it is going to be Rice playing B2B, whether it's going to be Kai Havertz playing box-to-box, we just confirmed in that game that Thomas Partey at Arsenal is untouchable. He's purely untouchable. The positions he picks up on the pitch, the way he blocks attacks, the way he sniffs out a counter-attack, his physicality, his passing, the way people are glued, and the relationships he finds himself creating with Arsenal players, he's become the metronome of our midfield. So the fact that we've not lost him yet, it's a positive. I don't think we can really just change our midfield. Partey and Xhaka out and just introduce 2 new players. We've tried it. I don't think it has actually worked out. It has not really worked out. Positive number 2, and this is, I'm not really sure if this is a positive. We've seen the best of Rice, but we've also seen the worst of Rice. Now, yes, I was watching the Gunnar talk in the morning, and was saying that he did focus on Rice, and Rice's positioning and interceptions were actually high class. I agree. I absolutely agree. But did he help us dominate a midfield of Mason Mount and Kobbie Mainoo? No. Did he help us in terms of if Gabriel has made a mistake, sniff that out? No. So I think this is a positive because Arsenal fans take Rice to be a saint. Arsenal fans take Rice to be an unbeatable player. I think it's just a player, just like any other. The difference is that he cost 105 million. Okay, and of course now we're gonna have the debate whether we can let him be in that midfield alone with Kai Havertz and Martin Odegaard. Point number 3, which is my last positive, is we had the ball. We kept the ball in the second half after Manchester United had actually watered down. But you could see the clear print of what we're trying to do, right? Timber joining into midfield together with Rice, and then Julian Timber forming that single midfield pivot as Rice, Odegaard, and Havertz go high up the pitch. So you could see what we're trying to do, right? So there is a positive there that, the manager actually got, his chance to exercise whatever he wants to do. But on the negative side, we were battered. We were battered. Yes, Man United didn't blow us out of the water. But I'm looking at Kobe Mino. I'm looking at Jadon Sancho in false 9. I'm looking at that disjointed, disorganized team that Manchester United put out there just to test the waters, and that is how well they performed against Arsenal. Now, I've already said this, and I'll say it throughout my life. Erik ten Hag is 10 times better than Mikel Arteta. He's a much better manager than Mikel Arteta. He's a manager that has been, he's a winner. He's played at Ajax. He's been in the job for quite some time, vis-a-vis Mikel, who has actually started his career at Arsenal. But we don't need to show that he's a much better manager than ours. And that is what we showed yesterday. We showed that Manchester United, regardless of who they play, they have a better manager who will always overpower our manager in 1 or 2 scenarios. That is bad. That is purely bad. So, not a bad game. It's a game to forget. It's a game that Mikel was fuming. He said he hopes that those players are hurting. And I hope they're hurting. But we focus on to the next one.